What is up, movie viewers? Dena Views and Reviews here. Asking, what are you watching? Well, today I am watching Lies of Deception. Now, this movie stars Stephen Little, Marvin Lee, Marc Gill Glaze, Kaden Rutherford, Aaliyah Gill, Tilisia Roberts, Elijah Walker, Silvia Ross, Danika Simmons, Tiara Mason, Jessica Mack, Belinda Pennamon, Robert Rosengart, and Chuck Clark. It is directed by Stephen Little. It is produced by Gene Porter Legacy Productions. Now, this movie, it opens and takes you back to 1995 Macon, Georgia. And it is here that you find Frank and Vanessa Johnson in their home on a Sunday with their three children, preparing for a Sunday dinner with family. Included in that is a visit from a very feisty but funny grandmother. They are doing what families tended to do in the South back in the day on Sundays. Some still keep this tradition alive today. It is a way to keep up with what is going on within the life of your family members. And overall, it's just good for bonding and building family relationships as well. To their surprise, Vanessa's formerly incarcerated brother, James, played by Stephen Little, has just been released from a 10-year stint in prison, and he unexpectedly walks into their unlocked home, surprising everyone, and it is apparent that no one is more happy to see him than his own sister. It is a joyous moment for Vanessa to see him after 10 long years in prison, and he is reintroduced to his nephew and his nieces, and he seeks to have a conversation with Vanessa's husband, who is his brother-in-law, Frank. Frank seemingly he doesn't care to deal with him, it seems. And after their private conversation, it is very apparent that he has some contempt for him, even giving him a time limit on how long he has to visit with them in their home. He told him 2 days, and then you need to clear out. But Frank comes off as having had some questionable behavior or history, and he even this was hinted at by his mother or grandma. She is sharing memories of him from the past with his children. But he has chosen to modify his lifestyle for the sake of his wife and children. On the other hand, James is seeking to reestablish himself and even says to Frank at one point that all he knows is the streets. Now, even though Frank knows and may have experienced being in those streets in the past, he has left that in the past, and he is not about that lifestyle at this point. Now, during his time in jail, James managed to befriend a dubious former crime boss who goes by the name of OG. And OG is played by actor Marvin Lee. OG has offered James an opportunity. Now, this opportunity would allow him to reestablish himself once he is released from prison. And it would also mean upon his own discharge from prison, OG himself could once again take up his role as leader of this organization. Now, after a night of drinking, smoking, and committing one of the most heinous acts of all, James decides to take OG up on his offer, eventually becoming a major part of the drug culture and facing constant observation and scrutiny from local detectives Jones and Hawk. But where will all this lead? I gave this movie 3 stars out of 5. I'm not a big fan of gangster movies per se. It was an interesting movie, and it was interesting to see how this particular writer or director was able to include, just like in real life, personal storylines within some of the individual characters that were involved in this plot, what they were dealing with and coping with in their own day-to-day lives. It tends to make movies more relatable for the movie watcher, dealing with things like alcoholism, sexual abuse, or even just personal insecurities. All are issues that and probably will be applicable for those who are watching this movie. And it happens within the lives of people or in the lives of someone that they may be familiar with. Even though it revolves around this particular family, the plot also included minute peeks into the other characters' world as well. It pulls you in for nothing else than to see how each character's melee will impact the whole at the end. And in this case, many of these characters are without a doubt just full of lies and deceptions, making for a quite entertaining movie. There are currently 2 seasons and 9 episodes of Lies of Deception. And if you are interested in checking it out, you most certainly can do so, for it is rated 18 plus and is currently streaming on Prime Video. If you have not already, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and drop me a comment letting me know what you thought of this movie. And tell me what movies or shows you are watching. And join me weekly for another review, a movie recommendation, or just a live view and conversation. And I want you to remember, it's my view. Now, what are you watching?